you ready?
Yes.
There you go. No pressure. No pressure. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Cookout Radio Show and Podcast. I am your host, Scotty Robinson. Today on the show, I have the pleasure of having Miss Bee Nik with me today. She is the host of the Black Royalty Podcast. I'm going to drop all the socials, so y'all make sure y'all follow her. Had a chance to check out her podcast and some of the clips. Definitely good content. Definitely some hot topics that I've seen. Miss Bee Nik, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful.
Okay.
Definitely had a great day. Nice and relaxing day.
Okay.
It would have been better if my job would not call me, but
see, that's what happens when you're the one in charge of everything. Sometimes you got to stop being so good at your job, and they'll stop calling you.
I guess.
There it is.
I guess.
So, normally when I have guests on, we spend the majority of the episode in the beginning just kind of introducing you, telling people a little bit more about you, where you're from, talk a little bit about family life, career goals, things of that nature. So I'm going to open the floor for you to share whatever you want.
Well, I'm Bee Nik. That wasn't always my name, but
Okay.
I evolved into that. So I am from a lot of places. I was born in California. My parents are from New York and Jamaica. I moved back to Florida about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
After a divorce, I have 3 children, 2 teenagers and a little one.
Ooh.
That's 9. Both my oldest is in college. My middle is going to college.
Okay.
And then I'll just have little Gabe left. I have a photography business.
Okay.
And started my podcast about, I think it was last year sometime, but I've had my photography business for about 15 years.
Wow. So you just told me a lot, and I have a lot of comments. One of the places that I have absolutely loved since I was a child was California. I always said that if I hit the lottery or if I got rich, I'm going to Cali because it seems like it takes that to live there.
It's nice. It's beautiful.
What part of California, if you don't mind me asking?
I was born in Lemoore, but I lived in California. Before I moved to Atlanta, I was in California for about 3 years. I was in San Diego.
Oh, no, you didn't say San Diego. Shout out to San Diego.
It's so beautiful.
I actually have two younger brothers. They grew up in San Diego. Definitely was on my top of my list of places that, if I had it like that, I would move to. So
it's beautiful. Like it barely rains.
So it's true.
But, yeah, it barely rains.
All right, so then you said Atlanta. You brought up Atlanta too. Tell me about that.
Atlanta was fun. I loved Atlanta.
Okay.
I met some really great people. I did a lot of networking there.
Okay.
I can't say anything bad about Atlanta. I hear a lot of bad about Atlanta, but I never experienced the bad in Atlanta. I mean, other than moving there and then automatically getting a divorce. Because the saying is true that there's more women than men.
Yeah. Atlanta. I've heard Atlanta was rough. So, now I hate to hear about the divorce, but I think I was there definitely less than a year, but within that year, yeah, I knew what the hype was about of Atlanta. It's you gotta be ready for that.
Yeah.
You definitely got to be ready for Atlanta. So how did you get into photography?
Always loved it. I remember in high school, I used to always take pictures of everybody. Was in the yearbook club, all that stuff. So, but never thought I would actually buy big cameras and book people and have a whole website and all that stuff.
Oh, that's crazy. Do you still do it now?
I would just do it for fun. Yeah. Well, I still have my equipment, but since I moved here to Florida, I haven't really restarted everything. I wanted to rebrand myself too.
Oh, I got you. Outside of probably timing because I know how that gets. Is there any hesitation or any reason why you had to step back out into photography?
When I first started out, I was doing weddings. I felt like I was doing too much. I was all things to all people. I just want to I just want to say, okay, I do just one thing instead of doing too much.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and I definitely I definitely took what you said, and you were all things to a lot of people. That seems to be a theme with a lot of people nowadays, and to have an opportunity to put some things down and really focus on peace, and focus on finding yourself amongst everything else that's going on. You didn't even have to tell me, but I already know how that is. So let's talk about where you are right now. Let's talk about the present. We talked a little bit about the past. Let's talk about who is Bee Nik today.
Bee Nik is the once quiet girl who grew her wings and it's just a different person now. Like, I look at pictures of myself from, I could even say like maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I'm a whole different person. Just changed who I was, just evolved.
Okay.
I always say it's the evolution of Bee Nik. So
well, that's I respect it. I definitely respect it. Here's what I've learned about transformation. It happens one of two ways. It's either by choice or lack thereof. You didn't have a choice, right? So, in this situation, which would you say was the theme? Was it you saw something that you didn't like? You saw some things or some areas where you felt like you could be better, or was it if I don't change, things are going to get progressively worse?
it was something that I saw within myself that I felt like I needed to change. I used to be so, I guess I would say passive, but also just, I was so afraid to use my voice. I would just like, I would listen and then not respond, even though it called for a response.
Wow.
It was like I was just afraid to cause conflict or whatever, or not have to answer back. But so I just kept everything inside and never spoke on things that I should have spoke on.
Now, was it with certain relationships? Was it with certain people, or was this like okay? So this was just kind of like an overall thing. Was there one particular event or one specific moment that you can remember or recall that you just said, "All right, enough is enough"?
I just think I felt like I wanted to keep the peace, even when I needed to speak up for myself. And then once I was like, I'm done. And I don't think he ever thought I was going to say that. I'm done. I've asked of these things from you, and I'm not getting that. And so what's the point anymore? And I don't think he ever thought that I was going to say those words. And then I think he thought I was joking until the papers came.
Oh God. Yeah, I can see that being one of those like, oh damn, all right, this is real. How long were you guys married?
15 years.
Wow. Yeah. So I can only imagine that there was a lot of conversation, a lot of it didn't happen overnight. I would imagine.
No.
If there was one particular thing that you were looking for, and you don't have to narrow it down to one, but what were some of the things that you were looking for that you felt like you never received?
Love. I felt like I was like, this can't be what love is. This can't be like, okay, yes, we have children, but this isn't love.
Mm-hmm.
You can't love somebody and treat them the way you treat them, and then just go about your day and not think about it.
Mm-hmm.
You can't love somebody and hurt them.
Mm. So that leads me to another question. Do you feel like it was intentional?
I don't think so. I don't
Mm.
think that the way that he grew up. So I don't think that he knew exactly what that was. There was a point where he would always be like, I don't want to be like how I grew up. And at first he wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't like that. But then I think it became easier because of his job to be away from me. So it was easier to do the things that he wanted to do.
Mm. You know, as men, you know, we are what we see. A lot of times we are what we grow up in. And it can definitely be difficult to change some of those learned behaviors. It normally either it makes us better or it turns us into the thing that we hate the most.
I think it was last year or the year before last. He called me. He apologized for all of the things that he did, and I was like, pretty much that. Thank you for apologizing, but I've already forgiven you a long time ago. I
Oh
forgave you
wow.
because I needed to heal. It was part of my healing to forgive you, even though I never called you or said I forgive you for all these things. But I never thought you was gonna apologize
Mm-hmm.
for it because when everything blew up, he was going around like we had mutual friends and stuff. Like I'll never apologize to her.
Oh, it got petty then.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was very petty.
Oh
So
man. So first let me say I hate that. You know, I hate that you had that experience. From the outside looking in, it looks like you definitely you know, just hearing you talk about transforming and you know where you are now, it definitely sounds like you're in a much better place. But I can imagine after 15 years, that's a tough pill to swallow.
yeah, I feel like the events that led up to our marriage failing, it saved my life. I don't think I ever would have walked away. It
I am
saved
so
me.
curious.
Saved me from myself, and it saved me from that. Like, how long was I gonna to stay in that if these things didn't happen?
Why do you feel like you stayed for as long as you did?
That's the first thing my therapist asked
Oh yeah, oh yeah. That's
me. What made me stay is because I thought that once you were married, you stayed through sickness and health and all that stuff.
mm,
But then I was like, one day I was like, you're not supposed to put up with this over and over again. You can't just really just forgive somebody every single day for doing the same thing.
hmm
You're just repeating the same thing every day.
mm,
I was like, I didn't want my kids to grow up in a broken home, but then I said, the home is already broken.
mm. Staying in a relationship when there's kids involved. Um, you know, you hear about stuff like that all the time, and people just they look at it from for better for worse to death do you part. You know, they look at all of those things and they take them so literal that they stay in these spaces that are unhealthy. In a decision like that, there are a lot of people that are affected. You know, you talk about you guys had mutual friends. Um, can you share how some of those relationships changed?
I think that was like the hardest thing. Like, I'm gonna try not to cry now.
Oh nah,
That was
yeah,
like
you can't be on here crying now. I'm just kidding.
that was like one of the worst things. When everything happened, I just felt like the friends would be there.
Hmm
Um, they were kind of like, "Well, did you have to go that far? Like, why you had to put them in jail?" Like, and then I felt alone because
hmm
those were supposed to be my friends. And then I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, do you realize what just happened? And they left me
Mm-hmm.
in a time where I felt like I needed my friends, especially the women.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the men were obviously going to take the man's side, and but the women, they didn't. And I did have a few that stuck by my side. One, my best friend, her name is Jasmine. She was there
Mm-hmm.
every single moment to this day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, she stuck beside me. She was even about to go fight the other.
Oh
She from
wow.
Brooklyn.
Oh yeah. Okay.
She from Brooklyn. But
So
yeah,
duly noted. If you got Brooklyn friends, they ride or die.
yeah. So just the whole gossip that was going around and stuff like that, just it was unnecessary. It felt like it felt like a reality TV show at one point.
Mm-hmm.
But I just needed to remove myself from the negativity.
Mm-hmm. So you talked about being in a space where you don't feel the support from those that I think is reasonable and rational to assume that you would have them in your corner. Can you share some of the emotions that you felt just as far as with the relationships that you had with some of the friends?
I was angry at first. Very, very hurt.
Mm-hmm.
There was just times that I felt so alone anyway that I just would come home, lock myself in, like I drive into the garage, put the garage down, set the alarm, go upstairs, lock myself in the room, and then just cry. Like,
Wow.
and then I was like, you're still a mom. You still got to be a mom.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it was like my heart was breaking. Like my marriage is done.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's done, and I still have to be a mom.
Mm.
But this person is the only person that I've known. It was hard. It was hard to process that all, and then I was just like, I need to go to therapy because this isn't healthy. Like I'm just crying every day. My
Mm-hmm.
kids, trying not to cry in front of my kids, trying to be strong for them, but they know I'm crying. They
Right.
can see it. You know, they.
You brought up your kids. I know with my own, it's like, it doesn't matter the day that I've had. When I come in the house, I'm saying there's an expectation that, I'm saying, dad is good. So if I come in and my energy is off, my vibes are off, immediately they on my head. They're like, yo, like what's going on? You all right? And I got some of the nosiest kids that just they don't miss anything. So how old were your kids when you were going through this?
My youngest was 4. Um, so that means Trinity was probably 8
Mm-hmm.
or something like that, and Noah was like 10 or 12, something like that. But
So here's a question. As you are, as you're going through, I know he was going through as well. Were there ever any points, that you all tried to sit down and actually have a conversation about what you were feeling, about what he was feeling, about what y'all were going through?
we did go to one counseling session, right?
Okay.
He set it up.
Wow.
And I thought that it was gonna go a different way. But the therapist had to stop. She was like, so you just booked this to destroy this woman?
Oh no.
She asked him to step out of the room, and then she told me, she was like, that's what you've had to deal with? That's manipulation. She was like, I'm not even supposed to say this.
Yeah.
But I would never tell somebody to leave.
Yeah.
But she was like, if that's what you've been going through.
Hey, listen, respect to your therapist.
You leave.
Respect to your therapist.
And then she was like, I don't even want to have another session with him. She said, you can come back, but he cannot come back.
Oh, wow. We're not even going to get into that.
I remember that. The feeling that I felt like sitting next to this man that I've been married to, like, you're saying all this in here. Like, who are you?
and like you said, he set the session up. So it's like seriously, like this is what this was for. Kind of getting the affirmation from your therapist. How do you feel in that moment?
I still wanted to work on it. Maybe he just going through something. I don't want to give up on our marriage. I want to say that I fought for this.
Mm-hmm.
But then I felt like when I was fighting for it, I was fighting on my own, and I realized like this is not gonna work.
What type of strength does it take to fight for something that you know is hurting you?
It was so draining. And I was in my closet. I had this gigantic closet, and I was sitting in there, and I'm in the dark, and something said, "Get up, I want to show you something." And so I'm driving in Atlanta. There's no traffic. There's always traffic.
Yeah. Oh,
So I'm
yeah.
just driving. I don't know where I'm going. I'm just driving, and then I see his car at this house.
Stop playing.
I promise you.
Oh, wow.
And so I called, and I felt like a nut. Like I called his phone, and I said, "Are you at whatever the address was?" And then you could hear him like ruffling, like, because I mean we were still married technically.
Yeah.
You could hear him ruffling, like he was looking out the window and stuff like that. And I was like, "That's all the confirmation I needed." I was like, I still was like, what was that? What told me to drive?
Yeah.
It was like
He just get in the car.
I felt like a psycho, and like I'm yelling for what? And why am I getting out of character for this?
Yeah, that's a different type of discernment that you got on you.
But once I got that, I felt peace after that.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't cry no more, which was kind of scary because nothing made me cry anymore. Mm-hmm. I just felt angry.
Yeah. When you're going through something, seeing what you saw and coming to terms with it, where do you put the anger? Keep it from absolutely consuming you.
I was journaling.
Okay.
I was writing it out. I didn't feel like I could talk to my parents, but that's another story.
Okay.
It's really not another story. I'm just going to say it. It's embarrassing, first of all, because nobody in my family has ever gotten a divorce like that. Like my parents were still together. I remember going through that, and my mom I felt like she wasn't being as supportive as I thought she would be, especially being the only girl.
Mm-hmm.
And that hurt me. And I didn't talk to her for a while. Mm-hmm. My grandmother had passed away, and at her funeral, I walked past my mom, and her sister grabbed me by my arm, and she said, "Grandma wouldn't want this. Mm-hmm. You need to tell her what's bothering you." Mm-hmm. And so I didn't feel like I had her through that, going through what I was going through, but I felt like I should.
So that sounds like, in the beginning you talked about being in situations to where you should have spoke up, and never really being able to find your voice. It sounds like that's exactly what that sounds like.
Just feeling like I was always silenced on some things and just never spoke up for myself. And now I'm that girl that speaks up for herself.
Okay.
I'm not that shy, timid girl anymore. I'm gonna speak on a situation.
That's real. So we're definitely gonna talk about the transition and how you finally get to a point where you find your voice. I want to go back to something that you brought up. You talked about, you had that one friend, but prior to that, you had quite a few that you felt like you could count on. So if you don't mind, I want you to talk a little bit about where your relationship is with them.
I don't talk to them anymore.
At all, just done.
At all.
Okay. Do you ever have any regret about not expressing how you felt?
Not one.
That's a different kind of piece. There were times where, definitely I felt like I was kind of wrong in certain situations and never really spoke up, but I'll be damned. I'm going back. I'm checking all of that now. Once I got to that point, it was like, cause I don't want it to be, I felt like that was the only way for me to keep it from happening again. I felt like that was a part of my process of coming to terms with, taking my power back, for lack of better words. So that's a different dynamic than what you're saying. You just, I'm good. I don't owe y'all this.
Exactly.
Wow. Okay. Do they ever try?
I could I was there. I went to Atlanta in May,
Mm-hmm.
and my son has been friends with some of his little friends since they were like 1 or 2 years old. But they
Mm-hmm.
still keep in contact. They're all 9 and 10 years old now.
Wow.
Being able to be talk to kids keeping in contact, they do better than adults.
Oh yeah.
They talk every single day. But anyway, so his best friends, they were one, I think, when I met his mom.
Mm-hmm.
Well, this summer we linked up. She still lived in the same neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
She was one of the mutual friends or whatever. But she stayed out of it. She was like, I'm not choosing sides.
Mm.
But I went to her house, and so I pull up in the driveway and I see the other girls.
Mm-hmm.
They still hang out and sit on the porch and chit chat. But one of the girls rode past, and she saw me and she like waved, and I was just like, I didn't feel anything.
Wow.
I don't want to. I don't want to. I didn't even care to see her, or say anything.
But I'm sure that wasn't always the case.
Mm-mm. There was one girl who was there through the altercation that happened,
Mm-hmm.
and everybody was kind of like, "Why didn't you step in?" or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when everybody was asking those questions, she took offense to it, and then she became the victim in all that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And so then she was going around and like just trying to clear her name,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like the wrong time. Something else had happened. So why are you using this time to try to clear your name or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
But I don't miss the friendship. I don't miss the people.
Mm-hmm.
I think they kind of just really showed me who they were.
Right. I really feel like people would be better off if they were able to operate in that space of just like, I don't really care what they think about me. I don't really care that they have this perception of what really happened. That,
I didn't feel like I needed to explain it to nobody else. Like, for what?
Right.
And I'm just like, no one has a perfect marriage. But when ours did fail, everybody was like, I think because we didn't show that in front of our friends.
Mm-hmm.
We were this happy couple.
Mm-hmm.
I love you, all this and that in front of everybody, and so when it blew up, everybody was like, wait, not them.
Mm. Like you said, you get that, you had that moment. Something wakes you up, tells you, I need you to be here. You act on that.
Yeah.
You see what you see. At some point, you make the decision to leave. What does that process look like?
Now we got to decide, are we selling this house? Because we have built this beautiful house. 4,000 square foot house.
And we're talking, this is it 2021?
It's just me.
Yeah.
I'm only spending time in this room. Am I going to stay here or am I going to leave? Or are we selling this place? And I know if we sell it, we're going to get triple the asking price.
Mm-hmm.
At this time, it was like 20. I think it was 2020 when we sold it. Mm-hmm. It was on the market for 24 hours.
Oh, that's insane. But it's par for the course.
But the hardest thing was like I felt like it wasn't home to me anymore. Mm-hmm. His guy friends still lived around, and it felt like they were watching me. Mm. They would be like, she came home at this time. Like who can live like that?
How do you get wind of that? Like is your ex-husband he's telling you that?
He was telling people. I was like he was telling people, "Oh, I know that she wasn't home or at this time." And I was like, I was working late nights. And to drive home from my job in Atlanta, it's going to take me an hour to get home.
Right.
So then I was like, why am I explaining this to a person who's living with somebody else? Why am I even doing this?
Mhm.
I just couldn't. It felt like the divorce took forever because we had been married for so long. We got to split all these things, and
Mhm.
then he wanted custody of our oldest,
Mhm.
and that's when I was like, oh heck no.
Yeah.
But in Atlanta, it's the child's decision.
Really? Oh wow. Okay. Is there an age associated with that? Like,
They have to be 14, 15.
oh, gotcha. So here's a question, right? Like, you got all this going on. Um, you're still a mom. You're still a professional. You're still working. You're still trying to accomplish all of these things. Are you getting therapy during this time? Okay, so thank God for that.
At first,
Um,
I wasn't, but it didn't take long at all. It took me like a week,
hmm
and I felt like that's when I told you I felt like I was just this can't be healthy.
hmm
This can't be healthy. Who could function like this?
Now,
And so,
was it the same therapist that you guys met with the first time?
mm-mm.
Okay.
I had
So
like 3 therapists. That's crazy, ain't
no, it's not crazy.
it?
It's
I
not
had like
crazy at
3.
all.
I had one that was the lady that I told you about.
Hmm
And then I had another one that was a little further out. So she had a different perspective.
hmm
And then I had another one, but she was like um, over the phone
hmm
and more religious type. But
Gotcha. So here's something that we lack. And I think you and I have talked about it a little bit, but you were able to say, hey, like, I'm off. This does not feel right. This should not. I should not be having the thoughts, the feelings that I'm having. I need help. Um, in our communities, right? It's never that easy. We're either, oh nah, this, I'm a G, I can get through this, or I don't know where to find help. So I want to ask you, what does your search process look like in finding a therapist?
I'm sitting in my closet Googling therapist near me.
Okay.
Therapist near me. Going to the reviews, reading reviews, going to their actual website, reading
hmm
up on them about their life, what they do, stuff like that.
It's great. It's great to hear that you did have success. Not only did you find one, you found three. Going through
Yeah, the
Google. So
last one, the one who was more like religious type, she was she was referred by somebody else who thought she was really good.
hmm did you have any fears? Any
I think I really had to be real with myself because I remember the first time that I went and I sat down. It was my first session um, with my with one of my therapists, not the one who was like, no, we're not doing this.
mhm.
It was the other one. And I sat there, and she looked at me. I looked at her, and we sat there. The time was going out, and I didn't say anything.
Really?
It felt like I was afraid
hmm
of putting it out there. Like I'm about to really say what's been going on,
hmm
and I was afraid to say it out loud.
Mm. I'm sure you identified that there were some things that your husband, your ex-husband, you know, he needed some help with certain things because of his upbringing. Um, how do you help someone going through that? This is somebody that obviously you care about. This is somebody that obviously you've been through some things with. So how do you help someone through that?
I really didn't know how to help him because he wasn't really ever home.
Mm,
But when he was home, and then just to see him say and do the things that he was doing. I didn't know how to help him. I just knew to stay away. Stay out of the way.
We're going to go up on a higher note, right? So you leave Atlanta, and do you immediately come to Florida?
I packed up at 11 o'clock at night.
Oh, no.
Drove away.
Really? Did you have a plan?
I knew I was coming home, but that wasn't the day I was supposed to leave. I think I just got tired. I got sick. I had got COVID. And it was his weekend to have the kids. And I called him. I'm in the hospital. My friend called him. And she's like, you got to keep the kids. She's sick. She can't breathe. And he was like, nah, where's she at? I'm going to bring them.
Wow.
This is when COVID had just started. Nobody knew what it was, what it was all about. And he said, no, I'm going to bring them. And she was like, are you serious? Like, your kids could get this. He was like, I'm bringing them back. He was like, she knew she was going to get sick. Who knows they're going to get sick?
Yeah, that's...
And so I had it really bad. Like, my parents had to end up getting the kids, and they brought them to Florida. I had COVID for at least 6 weeks.
What? Oh, that's insane.
I was so sick. And I'm not one who gets sick.
Yeah.
And so I never thought I was going to get this. I never thought I was going to get that virus. I was always masked up and everything like that, and barely went out. And so I was like, how in the world did I get this?
Wow.
And so I'm leaving. I wrote like I didn't know what the legal thing was because I was taking the kids out of Georgia.
Yeah.
So I found out that I could. I just had to get it in writing. And so I just emailed him that I was taking the kids to Florida. And this was the date. And I actually left a little bit before that date because I was sitting up on the rooftop one night. I was in a high rise in Atlanta, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. My stuff is still in Atlanta.
Like now? Hey, what you need it for? Yeah, you don't need it. There you go. You don't need it. So you pack up, like you said, in the middle of the night. Here's my opinion on COVID. You're gonna think I'm crazy for saying this.
You probably think the same thing.
Yeah, like, you got all of this stuff going on. You're trying to navigate. You're navigating a lot. You're not trying to navigate. You're navigating a whole lot. You get sick. You are forced to sit down and evaluate. You are forced to focus on what's really important. And
I was isolated by myself.
Yeah. So
no one could help me. People would send in like Instacarts.
Wow.
Or dropping stuff off at the door. But no one wanted to be around me. I was so sick.
Do you realize as you're going through it that, you know what, maybe this is what I needed? Do you at any point, do you have those thoughts? I'm sure you do.
I did.
Right. So talk to me about that process.
To be in complete silence with yourself. It was hard, but it felt like I was forced to listen. Because I was like, what am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. Should I just go back? Should I just say I don't want to get divorced? Let's just do this or whatever. That would have never happened, but still.
Right.
I just thought about even just staying there. What am I going to do here? I don't have any family here. That was one of the hardest things, is not to have any family around. And I remember calling my parents and said, I'm going to move back. I feel like it's one of the best decisions for me and the kids.
Right. A quote that I love, and I don't even know where I heard it, but every storm eventually runs out of rain. So just kind of thinking about it from that perspective, it doesn't really matter how bad things get, as long as we understand that eventually it's going to end. And I control this part. If I get the lesson that I'm supposed to get out of it, I'm going to come out so much better on the other side. So it makes just having that perspective kind of helps me to manage really any situation that I have. So when you're going through that initially and you decide to make the move, how is your relationship with your mom?
It was much better.
Okay.
It was a conversation that we had.
Okay.
We talked it out. I let her know how I felt. And she was receptive. And I felt like, wow, that's the first time. But she was receptive.
And that surprised you?
She apologized. We hugged. And
okay.
It's been great ever since.
That's awesome. Okay. So, you and your mom are on better terms. You moved to Jacksonville. How do you start to rebuild?
That was the hardest part. I transferred my job, which was a job that I already hated, but I transferred it here. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this. Coming back to Florida as an adult after I've been in California, and then Atlanta.
Yeah.
Now I'm in Florida, and it felt like I'm just in slow motion.
How do you get over that, though?
I've gotten over it.
Okay.
Because I have my family here, and if I left, I would not have that.
Right.
They help me with my kids and everything. So.
Okay, so you transfer jobs, although it's still not. I get it. It's not what the ultimate goal is. I can imagine you being in a much better mental space, right? What do you do for yourself? I almost find some peace, just with moving on to where life is right now.
I was spending a lot of time with my family, so I missed time with my family. So getting back here and just catching up and being around my family, it was peaceful. But trying to get up and going to work for the company that I was with,
right?
It wasn't. And then another job had came up, working with insurance or something like that, and that was like one of the worst mistakes I ever made.
Oh, so you actually tried it? Was it like life insurance? Oh yeah. What did you not like?
The person that I was under, he just stopped paying us.
He stopped paying you?
He just stopped paying all of us.
Okay.
And yeah, and I was like, oh my gosh, why am I going through this? I moved here and I'm thinking that everything's just gonna flow right, and then this happens. Like, this guy owed me $10,000.
Oh, that's wild.
To this day.
Wow.
Yeah, but I was like, maybe that's what made me think, like, maybe I wasn't supposed to move back. That was like one of the first things that popped into my head.
Right.
That voice in the back of your head that wants to let you know that try to tell you that you did something that wasn't right. But I know I made the best decision.
Was there a moment of confirmation that you're like, you know what? Yeah, it may not look the way that I want it to now, but this is where I'm supposed to be.
I had that confirmation before I left. I felt a sense of peace once I made that decision, because I just kept going back and forth. Yeah, I'm leaving. No, I'm not. And then one day I was talking to one of my friends. We've been friends since I was in middle school. She lives here. She's like one of those people who just, it doesn't matter what you're going through. She's gonna just speak life into you. She said, "I've been meaning to call you. You've been on my mind or whatever." So we're in the parking lot. I'm in the parking lot. She's talking to me and she's telling me all these things. And I told her, I said, I think I'm gonna move back to Florida. But I don't know. I don't know what to do. I feel like I'm stuck here, but I know I'm not stuck. But I feel stuck. And I feel afraid. I feel afraid to just go. Because I'm so used to doing what everybody's telling me to do.
Right.
I don't want to be that person anymore. And so she's talking to me, and I said, you know what? I'm moving back. And she was like, okay. And she's like, well, just think about it some more. And then about 2 days later, I was like, I'm definitely moving back. And I felt this sense of peace come over me.
See, I keep catching all the little nuances of you finding your voice. I'm hearing it all throughout the different scenarios where the more you grow, the larger your voice gets, and the more you trust yourself. So that's definitely interesting. That's very interesting to literally as you're talking, I can almost see the transition and the story unfolding. So you get to Jacksonville. You are kind of getting used to being in this space again.
Yeah, that part.
Yeah, I'm already knowing. So something has to happen. In the beginning, I heard you say like, "Yeah, I'm not that person anymore. I'm not struggling to find my voice. I know who I am. I know what's important." Where do you find that?
Specifically with him, he was so used to just telling me what to do, and I was going to do it. That's not happening no more. First of all, we're not married anymore. You can't tell me what to do. And this is me. This is me now.
Right.
And I'm not letting negativity around me right now.
Okay. How do you keep it away?
Block.
So boundaries.
Yes.
Big on boundaries.
Definitely boundaries.
Okay. What are some of your boundaries? What are some of the non-negotiables in the world of Bee Nik? What are some of the non-negotiables?
Well, first of all, I don't allow negativity around me. I always want to focus on the positive. I always feel like I control what's going on around me.
Okay.
If
I like that.
I feel like it's gonna get chaotic, or if I feel like I'm losing control, then I have to pull back and control what's going on.
Okay.
I feel like if I can control my happiness and what's going on around me, that's the best thing.
Okay. What?
I don't want to be gray. I don't want to have no gray hair.
So what does happiness look like? Okay. So while you thinking, I'm gonna tell you what happiness looks like for me. Happiness for me is finding those relationships that energy is reciprocated. That's probably one of my favorite words is reciprocation. Previously, life was full of takers.
Oh, yeah.
And I was really intentional on surrounding myself with other givers. As small as that may sound, it made a world of difference. That's what happiness looks like for me, is knowing that I don't have to feel bad if I don't respond to certain things because they do not align with the only thing that I'm accepting right now, which is reciprocation.
I feel you on that. I do the same thing. Like, I could look at a phone ring too.
Could you
or
do that
just
before?
no.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. We on the same wavelength.
But now I can see the phone ring and not want to talk to that person. You know how you can automatically just, what do you do? Like hit the side of the phone and it
Oh
goes
yeah,
straight to
you got
that
it down.
voicemail.
See, I ain't learned all the tricks yet. Like you start to take on so much of that stuff. And I did not understand the concept of the transference of energy. I had no clue what that was. And it wasn't until, you crash that you get to the bottom that you really start to understand some of those things. So I think it's in that space that you can really actually start to see what the best version of you looks like. As tough as that process is, it's also beautiful and dope as hell in the end. Once you get an opportunity to look back and say, like, you know what? I may not be where I want to be, but Lord knows I am not who I used to be. So that's
Boundaries are definitely important.
okay. What with boundaries, where do you extend those boundaries? Like you set boundaries with everybody. You have boundaries with your kids. All right, can we talk about that one?
I don't know. I don't think it's so much as like major boundaries. I always wanted to instill in them that boundaries are important and it honors what you need.
Mm-hmm.
We have such a open relationship with
Okay.
my children. I tell him if there's anything he ever wanted to talk about, just come in here. If I'm on my phone, say, "Mommy, put your phone down."
Mm-hmm. That's dope.
And he does. He does. Sometimes he doesn't even want anything. He just wants that closeness,
Mm-hmm.
and he gets that. It's mommy and Gabe time.
I love it. So I know early on you kind of talked about, when you would have these moments of, I just need to go somewhere and cry, not really wanting to expose your kids to that. This version of you, do you allow your kids to see that and go through that with you now?
They definitely go through that with me.
Okay.
Now I think they're kind of like, "Are you gonna cry?"
Yeah.
Are you gonna cry? And I'm like, I probably won't, but they'll ask me, "Are you gonna cry?" But sometimes when they ask me if I'm gonna cry, it's about something that's worth crying about.
Right.
Like,
I'm with you.
my daughter's having something coming up. She's gonna be singing.
Okay.
She's like, "Are you gonna cry?" And I was like, "I probably will."
But that comes from a different place though. That's dope.
Yeah, that's different. But I'm like, I'm allowed to cry in those instances.
There you go.
I haven't been sad in a long time, Scotty. I haven't been sad. I'm just, I just don't allow that anymore. There's not anything that I've had to be sad about.
You know what I think it is too, though? I think as much as you have learned how to navigate, I think it goes back to you just really taking full control over you. If it doesn't fit in that circle, it's not going to be around you. That's powerful. That's something that I think a lot of people are missing. I think what I can appreciate the most about what you shared is you don't feel responsible for how you focusing on you makes other people feel.
Exactly.
And that's what we get caught up in. Is there a secret to that?
I think it requires a lot of self-reflection.
Mm-hmm.
Looking back at who you are as a person
Mm-hmm.
and what you allow around you and what you allow to happen in your life and how you handle that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I handled life really well. Moving out of my parents' house to being married.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was going to be easier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm an adult now.
Oh yeah.
You think it's all going to be butterflies and unicorns out there? It's not. Can't always be negative about everything. I think I got tired of myself.
Talk to me about that.
I remember one time I was mad about something. I don't even know what it was. I feel like I was always mad about something. I'm just going to throw this part in here. When my kids when they feel like they want to be angry about something, especially Gabe. So I'm like, Gabe, you do know it takes a lot more energy to be mad than to be happy. You're so angry right now about something that's so small.
Mm-hmm.
I started this, I think it was like last year or the year before. I'm like, it takes what? And he's like, more energy to be mad.
But that, you know what though, that's dope. That's giving him something at a very early age that, you know, he can carry with him for the rest of his life. I wish somebody would have given me that at 8 or 9 years old.
I'm like, if you need to take some breaths, take some breaths. But we're not gonna be mad about this.
Wow.
This not worth being angry about.
You talked about how important journaling was for you. Do you still journal?
I try to. Sometimes, like during the day, I'll just write certain things down. I like maybe this bothers me just a little bit, but I never used to smile.
What?
I never used to smile.
I can't see that.
I never used to smile.
So, was that something that you feel like you had to make a conscious effort to change, or did it just kind of happen?
It just started happening.
I think that speaks to where you are. The fact that you even noticed how far.
I don't know. I don't know why I never used to smile, but it even felt strange to smile. I don't know. I can't explain it.
I don't think you have to. I really don't think you have to.
Felt like, I don't know. Like, what am I smiling for?
Mm-hmm. It's dope just to hear about your transition, but I also understand, you know, just with the way that the world is just set up, like it's so easy to get wrapped up in things that really aren't important, and you know, people struggle with that. So definitely kudos to you. I'm glad that you were able to utilize your own self-awareness to get some help and begin that process. But you know, it sounds like for you, all of your answers were internal. Like you made a decision, you knew what you wanted, or you knew what you were not going to stand for, and you moved on it. That's going to bring me to a couple questions. My first question: with everything that you've been through, what made you this version of you?
If I never would have got a divorce, I would have never became this me now. I feel like I would have just stayed quiet, just let things go the way they were.
Mm-hmm.
Never spoke up for myself. I feel like it saved me from myself.
Mm-hmm. Second question: what song would you use to explain where you are in your life right now?
So there's a song called "Why Not Me" by Tasha Page Lockhart. Who, when she first starts, she talks about this girl who she's just beautifully broken. She's trying to figure out why she's having to go through all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Then she's just looking in the mirror one day and she's like, I realized that I'm the perfect person that had gone through this storm because I'm the perfect person to get through it.
Wow.
Anybody else would have given up or anything like that, but I'm a fighter.
I like that.
The first time I heard that song, I was like, did she write that song for me? So it just felt like, I was like, that's my song right there. She went through the storm and she came out even stronger.
I like it. Third question: what brings you peace?
Realizing that I am in control. I'm in control of my life, and how I handle it is focusing on the positive.
Mm-hmm.
That brings me peace.
Okay. How do you protect that peace?
I keep negative people away from me, but definitely making time for myself, because I never used to make time for myself, and I think that's where I lost myself to keeping drama away from me, distancing myself from people who don't have my best interest and my children's best interest at heart. But definitely journaling, writing it down, or talking it out with people. So that helped me protect my needs.
Okay. Last question: how do you want to be remembered by those that know and love Bee Nik?
The quiet girl who found her voice, who grew to be beautiful butterfly.
I like it.
The evolution of Bee Nik.
See, without me even realizing it, I had titled this deal "The Butterfly Effect," and you just kind of tapped into it. I felt like that's where it's gonna go.
I feel like I grew. That I felt like I was that girl who was afraid to evolve, and then one day just grew her wings, and almost taken off this earth, but I got back up, and I'm here.
I like it. All right, so guess what?
What?
I think we're done. I think we're done.
Good.